Hi, Rodrigo. It's Blackie.
Hello, Blackie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Well, first, I appreciate, Blackie, you making some time to have this call today. I understand
Well,
you're...
I thank you for having me.
No problem. I understand you're getting ready to come to South America in a few days. How about that?
Yep. Yeah, we leave a week from today.
Okay, and this is going to be your first time in Peru. Let me tell you that the fans have been waiting for this for a very long time. How does it feel after all these years still be playing in new countries and meeting new fans?
I think that's the desire of every band. It's why you start in the first place. And for us to be able to do this first album in its entirety is perfect. It's our first time there. It's our first album. I mean, it makes it's perfect sense. So it really is, a fantastic way to say hello to the people there.
When you arrive in a new country like Peru, do you take time to explore the city, check out places, or just focus to the show?
Well, we try to, but it depends on how much time we have. And in this particular case, we have really just 2 days. And the first day you get there, you fly in, you get to the airport. A lot of times you only see the things when you come from the airport to the hotel. And it's the same. Every band will tell you the same story. So it just depends on how much time you have. So you try to see as much stuff and experience as many things as you can, but there's just not the time to do everything you would like to do. But again, that's one of the problems of touring.
Yes, all right. As you just said, you will be performing the entire One Alive album here in Peru. Could you please tell us what would we expect from the show, both musically and visually?
Well, it's a celebration of what we did in the very beginning, because a lot of the fans that we have now, they weren't around in the beginning. They weren't able to witness what we did in the very beginning. So they're going to see a lot of things that we did in the early show. And this is not just something, we're not just trying to take people down memory lane. We want to, when they come in to see this show, we want them to actually feel like it's 1984 all over again, to experience it exactly the way people experienced it then. And when you see the show, you will understand why it's been able to transform people's thinking as to what they feel, as to what they think, and what they experience. And it's really been, for myself personally, it's been the best tour I've ever done, because I feel the things that I'm saying to you. I feel it every night when I'm out there. I see it on people's faces, and it's been the greatest experience I've ever had.
That sounds amazing, especially for us here in Peru, since we've been watching your shows and listening to your music since the very beginning.
Well, that's the whole idea, like I said, is to take it to a level where people can experience exactly what it was like back then.
Okay. One question. After a career, after more than 40 years, what's the difference in preparing for a show today compared to the 80s?
I don't know if there is a difference. It's still, for me, it feels very much the same. And I think it really, that's all because of the music. and again, and it's not just us. It's any band that's had really good songs. Those songs, they translate well to to all places around the world and to all the fans. And so, like I said, I don't think that there's much difference between now and then when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. And what about the energy? Is it the same energy after 40 years when you leave your home and travel to other countries and do the shows and all the things?
For me, it's even better than it was because I've done it long enough to appreciate it more and to understand how fortunate I've really been in my career. Because when you first start, there's a kind of excitement because everything is new. But you don't really realize how lucky you are because the excitement is greater than your understanding. Mm-hmm. But after you've done it 20, 30, 40 years, your appreciation of it becomes even greater because you understand how fortunate you are to be doing something that less than 1% of the people that's ever been on the earth will ever be able to do. And the appreciation level of that is even greater now than it was then.
Well, right.
When you go on tour, do you have time to write new material or try new things, or just focus for the shows?
Writing is not something that I have to have a place to do. Writing can happen anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, if you're going down the street and you see something and you get an idea, then that writing process is immediate. It starts then and there. So, like I said, if we're going to a hotel, we come in from the airport and we see something or we experience something, it can happen anywhere at any time. So I don't have to be sitting in a room, with the other musicians to be able to do that. Like I said, it can happen at any time.
The writing process have changed along all these years, or is it the same as the beginning?
I think it's the same. One thing that does happen is I think you get a little bit better at identifying it. It becomes more of a habit. So that becomes a little easier to recognize it, but like I said, the process is still the same. It's about little observations. It's like I'm a reporter. Mm-hmm. I do the same thing that you do. I report what I see. And with some people, they might use a magazine to report what they see, journalists. But yeah. I'm just a musical journalist. I write down what I see, but I put it to music. So that's my job, is to report the things I see and the things I discover. So that part has never really changed.
Yeah, right. Now, recently you've been open about your Christian faith. Do you think it is something that would help you to reach for new audiences?
I think you would have to ask the fans of that. I mean, for myself, it had nothing to do with trying to get new fans. It was something personally that I felt that was important to talk about. But it goes back to what I was saying just a moment ago about songwriting. I'm a reporter. I write what I see. I write what I feel, so that, that's all part of it. It's the life experience, and that's where the songs come from, so that's just another part of it.
Yeah.
All right. And another question, what do you think about the current state of the music industry now that we have streaming, artificial intelligence, social media? How do you manage that?
It's a real problem because music has become disposable.
Yeah.
Music is not what it used to be years ago. And years ago, if you wanted a record, you had to work, save your money, and then go buy that record.
Mm-hmm.
Today, fans don't do that. The music it's like going into the kitchen and turning on the water.
Yeah.
It's there all the time. And that's sad because it doesn't put value on the music. Because the artist, he trades his labor for the fans' labor. That's the way it used to be. And that does not exist anymore because, like I said, the value that's put on the music from the public's from where the public really exists, that respect for the music is not what it used to be. And it's really sad, and it's changed the music business tremendously. Now, from a live perspective of the shows, thankfully that has not changed. Because if it had, we wouldn't be talking right now. It would be over for everyone. But fortunately, we still have it from the live shows. But as far as music itself, it no longer has the value it once had, and that makes me sad.
Yes. And do you think it's going to be, I don't know, worse in the future, or we could go back to where we were before in some point?
If you look at show business, technology changes show business radically every 20 years because technology changes. If you go back 100 years ago and you look at silent movies, then talking movies came along and it killed silent motion pictures. And with that, a lot of those movie stars from the silent era, they couldn't make the change into talking pictures. And then talking pictures goes for 15, 20 years, then television happens. And a lot of people then in show business can't make the transition from movies to television. Mm-hmm. And then rock radio starts to become really, really big. That transition happens. Then, MTV happens in the 80s. That transition, a lot of bands can't make that transition from just making music to becoming real television stars. Now you have the internet being what it is, and now you have AI and things like that. So every 20 years, the technology radically changes. And for any artist that cannot make the change, they die. So show business, has shown us for at least the last 100 years that it's going to change radically every 20 years. And so for you to ask me what I think is going to happen, there's no way I could even begin to tell you, because there's so many factors that go into that change of technology. So it'll all be technology based from here on out.
Yes, right. I agree. One more question, please. Do you think a band like W.A.S.P could have the same success if it starts today as it was in the 80s?
I really don't know. My first reaction is to say no, but I don't really know, because I do have faith in people. Because if you have a band that's doing something that's really good, let's say they have a great record and they're doing a really good show, the fans will seek that out. They will want to find it. So like I said, I have faith in the public that they will do that. But to do it exactly the way we used to do it, that model that we used, where there were major record companies and things like that, that doesn't exist anymore. So to answer that question 100% accurate, I really can't, because that's comparing apples and oranges. I mean, they're two really different things. So I could sit here and tell you a bunch of crap, that may not be true. So I really don't know, and I don't want to do that, because, like I said, I don't know.
Yes, a lot of things changed, and that's the reason bands like W.A.S.P being alive for all these years is a very big thing. It's so great to have bands that are still active in today.
Mm-hmm.
So Blackie,
very much.
Yes. That's it, Blackie. It's been an honor for me to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it. And we will be there in a little over a week. We will be there, so you got to come by and say hello.
Yeah, next Friday. We wait you next Friday. Could you please send a final message to the Peruvian fans and all the people in heavy metal Peru?
Sure. Hi, this is Blackie Lawless from W.A.S.P. We're coming to Lima, and we're going to hurt you. We're going to rock you. We're going to be loud. We're going to be nasty. You will never forget we were there.
Great. Thanks, Blackie.
Okay, thank you, Rodrigo.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a week.
See you in a week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.